So a couple things right off the top. First, you agreed to not go to the bathroom. So remember that. Two, yes, everything Lisa just said is true. I did handpick them, and watching the two of them put this thing on, it just fills my heart. But what she didn't share was her first experience with me in this process of getting them ramped up to do these trainings. So my first couple of years of Constant Contact, I used to do 8-hour trainings. And it was pretty intense. And I was booked to come to Charlotte. And we actually broke it up into 2 days. It was going to be actually an extended course. I think it was going to be 6 hours one day, 6 hours the next day. Now, it's important to know, even though I don't drop the accent, that I'm from Alabama. And the reason I'm telling that part of the story is because at that point I was living in Massachusetts. And so I come down to Charlotte, and one of my friends, Anissa, who was here last year, I believe, she said, "Matt, you need to get ready." It's like, why? "Snow is coming, y'all. Snow is coming to Charlotte." And I was like, so? "It is going to shut down. The town is going to shut down. No one's going to come to your session." I'm like, well, they paid $200. They're going to come to my... No, they're not. So we scrambled, and I got as many of the attendees on the second day when the snow was going to come to agree to spend the entire day with me. And Lisa was one of those people, and we ended up doing 11 hours straight. Now, two things. Actually, three. One, public speaking is exhausting. And let's hear a round of applause for our first-time public speakers, because holy cow. Holy cow, that was really good. Two, 11 hours of public speaking will make you look like that. Shirt tail, all I was a mess. Three, a 1/4 inch of snow, y'all. That's all that happened. Nothing happened. All that work, and there was no snow. Nothing happened. But it was the apocalypse. All right, so back to my actual presentation. So here I am at a social media conference talking about email marketing. Now, you'll learn as I present. This is a very interactive presentation, so just shout out, talk out, whatever you want to do. Isn't email marketing dead? A couple of years, people would have said so. A couple of years ago, email marketing's dead, right? No. Bad email marketing is dead. Poorly thought out email marketing is dead. Email marketing without thought of segmentation or unique content to your subscribers, that is dead. But email marketing is as alive as ever. But if you haven't already been able to tell a pattern today, well, first of all, how many of y'all feel like you've drunk from the water hose today? Yeah, probably a lot of you. If it hasn't already crept into your head, y'all got some work. There is work involved in everything you heard today. And guess what? What I'm about to share with you, there's work involved. And when I talk to small businesses and nonprofits, when they think of their workload, this is kind of what they think about in big buckets, in order of importance. Finding those new customers, filling that funnel, trying to find time to wedge all this in, and retaining those existing customers. Now, I bet I have some seasoned nonprofits and seasoned small business and medium-sized business folks here. Is this the correct order? It is not. It is not. You want to be making sure you save time to focus on those existing customers. And what's funny is when we talk about email marketing, so many people assume that email marketing is all about this. And yet, if you were paying attention to Mary's presentation a little while ago, and she was talking about outbound and inbound, do you remember where email marketing was? It was inbound. And yet, guess how most small and medium-sized businesses and nonprofits treat email marketing? They are broadcasting their message to everybody. They're sending kind of a one-size-fits-all piece of email marketing to everyone and hoping it works. And that may have worked 10 years ago, but it will not work now. And that's where the time that you're going to have to put into this is involved. Gaining a new customer can be 5 to 25 times more expensive than retaining an existing one. I'm not advocating you stop filling the funnel, but you've got to pay attention and cultivate those relationships you have with existing clients, members, or customers. Now, I think this is my favorite statistic because it's so wildly wide. A 5% increase in intention can save you and make you a lot of money. It's worth the time. Now, how does that fit into email marketing? Right there. How many of you looked at your, I actually know the answer to this because it just happened. How many of you looked at your phone today? How many of you checked your email today? Look around the room, everybody. Now, I could have said Instagram, and a lot of you would have raised your hand because we just did that exercise. I could have said Facebook. The one thing I knew all of you are going to raise your hand on, or nearly all of you, email. Why? It's important. It's where business is done. It is where business was done. It is where business is done. It's where business will be done. Email marketing is as important as ever, if not more than before. I'm not going to go through my bio because Lisa did that and made me embarrassed, so I'm just going to move on. So we're going to break this conversation up into 4 parts. First, how to design an email that gets results. Now, in designing this deck, I debated whether putting this in. I was going to just move right into automation and segmentation and some of the more advanced philosophies. But one thing I've learned, and I even heard a little bit of it today, one-on-one conversations with some of you over in the corner, is there's still a bottleneck, there's still a problem with design. People are not thinking of design the right way. So we're going to spend a little time talking about design, and then we're going to talk about how to turn 150% more of your website visitors into contacts, how to automate timely engagement with new contacts, and then we're going to wrap it up with how to do more business by sending more relevant emails. Okay, so how many of you are currently doing email marketing? Okay. How many of you, I'll just ask, how many of you are Constant Contact users? Okay, well, yay, thank you. If you're not, don't worry. Nearly everything I'm going to tell you today is product agnostic. You can walk back and use almost everything I'm going to share with you today. How many of you have a list of contacts? Maybe you're not doing anything with them, but they're sitting there on a computer, all right? Every one of those contacts, every one of those email addresses have value to your organization. Now, you may know that, but I really want you to go back to the office and think deeply about that. I always encourage my attendees to actually calculate the value of their list, because when you calculate it and when you have a dollar figure in front of you, suddenly everything becomes more real and more serious. It's one thing to, oh yeah, my list is important. It's another to have a multi-million-dollar list sitting on your computer. The way you do that, you can do that now if you want. You can save this, write it down, save it when you get back to the office. Just write down the size of your go-to list, the list that you would typically use. Maybe that's 1,000 email addresses. Maybe that's 500. Maybe that's 10,000. Just ballpark it. Then multiply that by the price point of what you sell or do. Your average donation, your average ticket price, the average product. What you'll arrive at is a dollar figure. That is the value of your list. Will everyone on the list buy from you? Will everyone on the list donate? Will everyone on the list renew or do whatever you're trying to get them to do? No. But having that dollar figure in front of you makes you realize, I had better take this seriously. I better maybe not do the same thing we've always done for years because that's the way we've always done it. When you have that dollar figure in front of you, everything becomes much more serious. Because if you do email marketing well, you will pull value out of your list. If you don't follow best practices, if you don't follow content best practices, you will push that list value away, and unfortunately, it's unlikely to return. Because once somebody gets an email that they don't find relevant from you, do you think they open a future email from you? No. Here was that person that represented potential dollar value to your organization that will never open another email from you again because the email wasn't relevant to them. Now, why? Why are those email addresses so valuable? Anybody? Is it an opportunity to connect them? Sure. Looking for something much more simple. Let's go down that route. Direct link, what do you mean? How'd you get that one-on-one connection with them? How many of you here got a business card from somebody because you punched them in the face and stole it off of them? All right, busted. They've met you. They know you. They've called you. They visited your website. They did business with you. They met you at a trade show. They know of your organization. Now, if they've bought from you, of course they know from you. If they've donated to you, if they become a member of yours, they obviously know you. But even if they didn't, if you met them at a trade show and you gave them your elevator pitch, they kind of know you, right? So they're already somewhat warm, bought in, right? This is not cold calling. These people are expecting to get an email message from you. Why? Because they gave you their business card. How many of you have ever been to a restaurant, seen the bowl in the front of the restaurant, drop in your card for a free lunch? Anybody ever seen that? Anybody ever drop their card in there? What were you hoping to get, or what were you expecting to get besides maybe a free lunch? Because you're not dumb. You gave your contact information out, right? How many of you registered for this event? In the process of registering for the event, besides your name and perhaps your phone number, what else did you have to give them? What are you going to get after this event? Because you're not dumb, right? And when you get an email from Perry Productions, thanks for attending Get Social, what are you probably going to do? Especially since they're offering the slide decks and other things within the follow-up email. What are you going to do? Open it, right? That's the power of having this kind of contact relationship with your audience. So, if all this is goody-goody, if all this is great, they have our contact information, why are so many businesses failing at email marketing? Well, there's a most common way that people make emails that are irrelevant, that are ineffective. What is it? What's the number one way typical small or medium-sized businesses and nonprofits make irrelevant emails? What's the number one mistake? Too often? I heard something over here. No call to action. That happens a lot. Bad subject line. All correct answers. But the number one reason is not building for the way people read emails today. And in fact, the answer is there in the slide in the visual. They don't build a mobile-first strategy. They don't think about the split seconds people are spending with email. Now, to prove that out, I'm going to show you an email. I want you to shout out what you see wrong with it. Everybody ready? Back in the back, everybody ready? Back row, everybody ready? Time's up. I gave you 5 seconds to do that. I gave you 5 seconds to look at that email. Now, some of that text was a little too small, maybe a little too hard to read. One thing, I don't care. For this exercise, I don't care that it was hard to read. Guess what? In the real world, if you were looking at that email on your phone, guess what? It'd be hard to read. But why did I give you 5 seconds? The average time an email subscriber spends reading an email on a PC, Mac, or tablet is anywhere between 15 and 35 seconds. The average time on a mobile device is 5 seconds. Could we possibly read this email in 5 seconds? Could we possibly understand the call to action, why we got this, what its importance is to us? Could we really gather any useful information from this email in 5 seconds? Yep. And here's the thing. What's your name? Aaron. Aaron, you get this email. You say, it's too much for what I have time for. You close it. Are you likely to open a future email from them? The answer is no. The answer is no. Because they've taught Aaron. They taught Aaron that future emails are going to be just as complex, just as hard to access, just as irrelevant to him, and he doesn't have time for that. So let's break this email down kind of quickly. I'm going to break it down visually too, but what were some things wrong with it? What's the first cardinal sin of this email? I heard it several times. It's too much. It's too long. It's too long. What else? Way too much text. There's no clear call to action, really. Multiple columns. Looks like a website. Sometimes can not necessarily be bad. What else? Let's zero in on these images. What's wrong with these images? They're a little too small. What else? Now, somebody hasn't shouted this out because it's very akin to the text. It's too much. There are too many images. The old saying that an image tells 1,000 stories, well, this is yelling a million stories at us. I don't know what's important to look at. What else is wrong with this email? This may be my last constant contact session. No one shouted it out, Brian. It has a table of contents. I heard something, there's no hook. Okay, so this is the first time in years no one's ever said this to me. How do you feel about that gray background and black text? That's a big sin. It's very hard to read in a 5-second window of time. Now, if they find something interesting, that 5 seconds could become 15. That 5 seconds could be 25. But if I open it up, I'm not even spending a split second with this email. I'm opening, scrolling, and abandoning. Now, some of you might go, well, Matt, I got a lot of stuff to share. We have a lot going on. Where do you want to share lots of complicated content? Your website. Your goal, the goal of email marketing, is not to get them to even read it, because here's a dirty little secret in email marketing. Nobody reads email. I don't. Lisa doesn't. Aaron doesn't. You know what we do? Everyone in this room. You scan, you skim. You're looking for something interesting, something useful, and then what do? If it's a smart marketer that sent it to you? You click. You want that click, because that click becomes more time. That click becomes more time. Because when they click, they are making a commitment to learn more, because they have decided to get more information from you. They just bought more time with you. But something else happens when they click. What is it? What's that? Well, they're invested, so they're going to spend more time. What else? You now know, if you're using a tool like Constant Contact, you now know what they like based on what they clicked on. What do you do with that information in the future? You segment it. Because if I learn that people really like my whatchamacallit, a lot of people clicked on my whatchamacallit and they didn't click on my whatchamajig, then what am I going to market to the whatchamacallit clickers? Whatchamacallits. Right? Am I going to continue to send whatchamajigs to the whatchamacallit clickers? No. Why? Because they don't like it. They're not interested. What else can happen on a website? Why else do we want to lead them there? Money. I know I have nonprofits in the room, but I'm going to make a blanket statement here. I know what everyone in this room cares about. Right? You may call it something else, nonprofits. It might be grants. It might be proven in the state you're doing whatever you're doing, whatever. But it's all about that, right? People are more likely to actually decide to purchase on your site than in your email, attend on your site than in your email, renew on your site than in your email. Why? Because of time. They're not even thinking about the purchase process. Even if you don't sell online, it doesn't matter. They're not in the headspace to be thinking about commitment of that level until you get them on the site. So we want to get them from the email to the website as quickly as humanly possible. So let's break this email down. The first sin is it didn't design for mobile first. Now, they did that in one way by making it too long and too complex, but they also did it by not choosing a mobile-friendly design template. The email would probably render in one of these two ways. Either full screen, like you see on the left. This laser does not go this far. Like the one you see on the left, or full screen, like the one you see on the right. What's wrong with the one on the left? What am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to size it, I'm going to have to scroll, I'm going to have to pinch. I'm not going to do that. You're not going to do that. Why? Because this is marketing and we don't care. We're going to delete it. Are we going to open a future email from them? No. Or it's going to render full screen. What am I going to have to do there? I'm going to have to zoom in and pinch. Am I going to do that? No, I'm lazy. I got other things to do. Right? I keep talking about mobile. Why? It comes to email marketing, why? Half your list, if you're doing email marketing, is reading your email on the phone. Half your list. Over half your list. And when it doesn't look good on mobile, we established that every email address in your database carries potential value. Real money for your organization. If they delete the email, are you pulling value out of that email address? No. Take a look at that stat. Very serious, folks. How often can a small, medium-sized business or a nonprofit continue to throw away good money right in the garbage and continue to succeed? Not very often. Not very often. So let's first break it down to layout. First, avoid lengthy text. Avoid multiple columns. Somebody called out the multiple columns. And avoid too many choices. Keep it down to about 25 lines of text or less. That's about a paragraph. That's about a paragraph. Now you can break that paragraph up into multiple articles, maybe two sentences here, 3 sentences there, but about a paragraph's all you have to play with. If you have 50 paragraphs to share, where can you share it? On your website. Keep your key content on top. If you have multiple things to say, make sure the most important thing, the most relevant thing is high up. Why? Because they don't have to scroll for it. Don't make them dig for it. 3 links or less. 3 links or less. Why not 5 links? Why not 10 links? If I give them too many things to click on, too many options, guess what they're going to choose? Nothing. They don't even get there, right? Wasted opportunity. And keep it to 1 column, okay? Multiple columns would be 2 columns like a newspaper. This is an example of a 1 column. So let's see how that email improved. The original email on the left, way too much content. 2 columns. The email on the right, they shortened their content. They segmented their list, meaning that they took their big list and they broke it up into smaller groups that they feel this content would be relevant to, which allowed them to simplify their content. Not there yet, but it's getting there. They've also gone to a 1-column format. Not there yet, but it's getting there. On mobile, we can see those decisions we can see the importance of those decisions start to play out. The email on the left, you couldn't even read it. The email on the right, we're now actually starting to see some of the key content. When it comes to email marketing, color matters. What's wrong with the email on the left? Unless you work at a circus, don't use that color scheme. All right, so let's break that down. Obviously, you were not a fan of the email on the left. Firstly, it's hard to read. Some of those color choices, impossible to read that font, impossible to read that text. Since this is my last one, I'll tell you a secret. This is 100% real. We're never supposed to say that because we don't want to. We don't want to hurt. We don't want to hurt their feelings. No, that's a real travel agency. I will say this is years old. I hope that they would have improved after we taught them how to do this. But it's hard to read. What else is wrong with the color scheme over there? Certainly no consistency, but you don't even know what's important. Our eye is drawn to certain colors and certain color combinations. You don't know what's important because there's too many color choices. Also, their brand is blue and yellow. Where's the brand in that email? It's lost. The email on the right, firstly, what is it they want you to notice the most? Book now. They're using color to draw your eye. Very clever. Also, we now see that blue and yellow color scheme is brought into the email. You know, a lot of the small businesses, medium-sized businesses and nonprofits that I've taught over the last 8 years, they go, occasionally I'll run into someone and they go, well, Matt, I like to have a different color scheme every email. And I'll say, why? Because we want a fresh new look. No, you don't. All you're doing is hurting your brand recognition. So let's see how the email improved. The email on the left wasn't a huge train wreck with color, but they did improve by making that gray background, that black text a little easier to read, and they've more tightened up their color scheme. It's getting a little better. Now, let's talk a little bit about brand and color. right? Red and white. What color scheme is that? Who is that? Coca-Cola. Always has been, always will be, except when it wasn't. About 10 years ago, Coca-Cola. Y'all know the polar bear campaign they do every Christmas? About 10 years ago, they changed their iconic red and white can to like a silver and red or something like that to celebrate polar bears. They're really cute. Guess what happened to their market share? They lost 80% market share during that campaign. People were not buying Coca-Cola. Same Coke in the can, same iconic swoopy logo. Why weren't people buying it? They just didn't see it. Right in front of their face, they just didn't see it, right? You want to stick to your color scheme, email after email after email, because color is your brand. When it comes to email marketing, when they're only spending a few seconds with your email, the color is everything. So what colors should we have in our email prominently? Our brand colors. Our brand colors. Celebrate special events, celebrate holidays, etc. with content, but stick to your brand color time after time. Now, y'all might say, well, Matt, our logo's in the email. Not always. Not always. But to get there, I got to talk to you about images. Images are very important in an email, but make sure you use them correctly. 82% of people will say an email containing an image is more attractive. They're going to pay more attention to it. Like I said, the old saying, an image speaks 1,000 words. Well, why would that be important given what we've already talked about? What's that? It limits the amount of words. Why is that important based on what we've learned? Let the image do the heavy lifting for you. Let the image tell the story. Instead of using 5 paragraphs to say something that an image could say in just a second, maybe we go with the image. But make sure you use the image, the right kind of image, to convey that story. If I just had flashed this email on the screen and pulled it back, what could have you gained by looking at that image just for a split second? What's the email about? Biking. Now, what's the importance of the mountains in the background? What's that probably tell you? Outdoors, adventure, health, fitness, right? Well, guess what they're selling? A biking adventure. That's the power of imagery, right? When it comes to images, make sure you don't overload people with images. The best practice is 3 images or less, not including your logo. So no more than 4 images. If I have something really, really important to say, and I really want them to hone in on it, how many images might I share? Including my logo too. That's it. Now, one slide I didn't have prepared, but I wish I had based on the great presentation we got earlier. Guess what's even more powerful than an image? If an image speaks 1,000 words, a video speaks 1,000 images. You can include video in your email. Let your video do the talking for you. Whatever you do, make sure that your images aren't your sole content. Many organizations I meet make an email where the entire email is an image. And inside that image is the product, and the price point, and the event details, and the contact information. Everything is inside a picture. Yeah, basically what people will do is use Microsoft Publisher, and they'll design a flyer, and then they'll just upload it to their email account. Why wouldn't you ever want to do that? Image is being blocked. Has any free Constant Contact Tumblr for you. By the way, a lot of you have walked over to my booth and kind of just went, I'm not selling anything over there. You can just come take those tumblers. They're free. We've got tumblers. I got really nice coffee mugs, and nobody's taking them. They're really nice. Hey, all right. Thank you. Aaron and I are tight. All right. Yeah, you got it. I'll send it from Constant Contact now that I work for Bluehost. All right. Anybody ever get an email with the images blocked like this? What's your question? That's literally where I'm going here. Yeah. Basically what we're talking about is a lot of folks will use the entire email as an image. And you don't want to do that because of this. Anybody ever receive an email where the image is blocked? What do you have to do to see the image? You have to download and right-click, right? So, do know this happens roughly 30% of the time. And this is based on your receiver's settings on their computer. There's nothing you can do about this. Their IT director decided that we're going to block images, and now the images are blocked. So why wouldn't we want to have our contact information and our event details and our product information and everything in an image? They won't see it. If our entire email was sent out and the entire email was just one big white square with a red X, would people bother downloading the image? No. They would just immediately delete it. What did we just send everybody? Nothing. So let me bring that back to brand color. Remember how I said, assume some of you might say, well, our logo's in the email? Well, the logo's an image. So what's going to happen 30% of the time? It's going to get blocked. Really important to carry your brand image in your email marketing time after time after time after time. Within that, I skipped one thing. Everybody familiar with blue hyperlinks? Right. If you're doing email marketing, make sure you replace those with buttons. These are buttons. These are fancy links. They'll go wherever you want them to go. But the advantages of buttons are threefold. One, they're buttons. And if you give people buttons to push, guess what? People know what they're supposed to do. Push buttons. Two, they're big and easy to click on. Why is that important? I've got fat fingers, y'all. Why is that important to have a button? So what do I not have to do then? I don't have to pinch, right? Lastly, they're bulletproof. How did I get that far back or that far forward? Pay attention, Matt. Whatever tool you're using, it's usually going to be something you can either drag in or apply. If you're using Constant Contact, it's actually just a little thing you drag over. Buttons are bulletproof. Notice the image got blocked? What didn't? The call to action. The call to action. All right, see how it improved. Email was way too big. They used way too many images. They used images that weren't scaled to fit the screen. The email on the right, they use images that would fit. They use images that tell the story. They're keeping their image count down to 3 or less. And they're using buttons. Another good thing to do is always link your images to the pertinent story or pertinent piece. Make sure that your images are also clickable. So that's a way to actually increase the links you have in your email, because not everyone will look for a button or something to click on like a link. They'll actually try to click on the pictures. So make sure your images are clickable. See how it improved? They had way too many links. To Brian's point, they got rid of that table of contents. They simplified things with with buttons. They've lowered their image count. It's almost there. Most important tip, make sure whatever tool you're using. Really? But I went on early. Okay, I wouldn't have gone this fast. All right. Well, all right, so thank you very much, everybody. All right, let's see if I can do this. Make sure whatever tool you're using is mobile responsive. What is mobile responsive? You design one email, and the software redesigns the email to be looking good on whatever device the email lands on. So this organization made the email on the left, but when it lands on a phone, it redesigns itself to be optimized for that mobile space. Those of you using Constant Contact, guess what? 100% mobile responsive. Now, somebody actually teed me up with this earlier. What good is all of this if no one opens the email? What is it that gets people to open the email? Wrong. No. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about subject lines, but what gets an email opened is who sent it. It's called the from name. I guarantee everyone in this room doesn't sit there and read subject line to subject line to subject line. The first thing you look at is who sent it to you. Am I bossing this? Am I in trouble? I'm at this Get Social event. Leave me alone. All right? So you want to make sure that that from name is very recognizable. The sender's name is going to be most recognizable to your audience. Then comes in the subject line, and then comes in a little thing called teaser text. It's a little bit of text that shows up underneath the subject line. Everybody see those 3 pieces? So let's break this down. You want to make sure that that from name is consistent, recognizable, whatever most people would know your organization as. If I was sending an email post-event on behalf of Constant Contact, would I send it from Constant Contact or would I send it from Matthew Montoya? I would send it from Constant Contact. Some of you might remember my name, but most of you probably wouldn't, right? But you probably would know Constant Contact. You can see an example of this restaurant, Jack's Backyard Barbecue, sent an email from its owner, Jack Grant. Who is Jack Grant? What would have been a better choice? Jack's Barbecue. That's what most people would know, right? Make sure your reply email address makes it easy to contact you. I know that that's really simple, but a lot of folks, what they do is they use a reply email address that's kind of like an admin email address, like staff@ blah, blah, blah. And guess what? Nobody ever checks staff@ blah, blah, blah. So you're missing. Oh, don't reply. Don't do that. Make sure it's somebody real that's going to be checking their emails. Now, subject line. I'm going to give you a few, in 10 minutes or less, a few subject lines, but make sure you keep it short. Ideal length is about 4 to 7 words. Why not 10 words? It's going to get cut off. No one's going to see it. And if you can't get your point across in 7 words, you're probably not resonating with your audience. And use that pre-header text, that little bit of text that appears underneath the subject line as your hook. Let it support your subject line. Let it tell your audience a little bit about what the content is. Delay Constant Contact allows you to edit that pre-header text. Now, when it comes to subject lines, avoid this very, very common model. There's only a very few industries that can pull this off, and even then I encourage them to try out some test their assumptions. You see the example here, Matco Association sent out the Matco February update and the Matco March update. What's wrong with that? Unless I'm like an investor or something, I'm getting money out of this, it's not telling me anything useful. I don't really know, I don't care. And it also looks a lot like the February one. Now this falls in line with something I see a lot of other organizations do, which is they do this model. Matco March newsletter. Well, guess what? People already know the email came from Matco. How do they know that? Because it's like it's right there. Why tell me that? It's redundant. Why not say it's the Matco April newsletter? What's wrong with April? People are smart. They know what month we're in. They know it's April. You don't have to tell them that. What's wrong with the word newsletter? E-news, e-blast. You're basically asking them to delete the email before they even open it. Keep it short, be brief, 5 to 8 words, less than 40 characters. Try using the magic words. In as many subject lines as you can write, as you write, try to include the words "you" or "your" as often as you can. If I say, "Don't miss this event," isn't as powerful as "you don't want to miss this event," because now it's you, it's your thing, it's your problem, it's your solution, it's your life. You're now thinking in different terms. A couple of other ideas for subject lines. Try writing your subject line as a question. Very powerful because the only way the question can be answered is by opening the email. Try using alliteration, repeating the same letter for every word of your subject line. The reason that's powerful is one, it's kind of cute and sing-songy, but the eye is always looking for patterns. Human beings cannot turn that off. We're always looking for patterns. So in this second subject line example, what's the pattern? What's the pattern? All the F's. Your eye is going to latch onto that faster than another type of subject line. Allusion, allude to pop culture. A famous song title, a famous movie title, a famous political or biblical quote, as long as your audience would get it, or most of your audience would get it, use it. Let it go, let it go. What is that an allusion to? And now it's stuck in your head, haha. Thank you very much, everybody. I have an 11-year-old. Why should I be the only one that suffers? And I live in Orlando, so double threat. Number list. Try writing your subject and the content of your email with either starting with a number or suggesting that it's a list. What is so powerful about that? Why use 3 mistakes all marketers make? Why not just say mistakes all marketers make? What's powerful about that word 3? You know how much time, and we already know they don't want to spend much time, so it's front-loading it. It's telling people, look, I know you're busy. Here's 3 things you can use. Anybody know the magic number? 3. Second best number? 5. Third best number? 7. Don't use more than 9. Don't offer people 23 tips. Guess what? Ain't gonna read it. If you use this kind of subject line, what must you have in the body of your email? If I offer people 5 tips, what must I have in the email? Wrong. 3 tips. And then what do they have to do to read the other 2? Ha-ha! Personalization. Constant Contact and similar tools allow you to personalize the subject line. You can literally put a person's name or other important information in the subject line. Why is that powerful? Because it's all about us. We're all egotistical, and when we see our name, we slow down. Now, when it comes to personalization, that can move beyond just the subject line. We can actually personalize the content. You can literally have your email be unique to your audience. I don't mean just saying their name. I mean literally making the content as unique as you can to that segment of your audience. Now, with an event like this, does everybody understand the concept of segmentation? Taking that one big list and breaking it up into smaller ideas, okay. So what I'm talking about here is making your content as personal to that group of people as you can. When you do so, you're rewarded with more buys, more attendance, more donations, more visitors, whatever you're trying to do. But when you don't, you're most likely to lose those subscribers. 52% of consumers are likely to switch brands if the company doesn't speak to them. Are we starting to hear a common theme today? Try this one. I could have ripped this off of Mary's presentation. Think one-on-one. Talk to people one-on-one, as if you were talking to that particular person. It's no longer your company and your brand talking to them. You want to have them see themselves in your marketing. Time matters. When somebody gets their content is as important and as huge a piece of relevancy as the content itself. I'll give you an example. Would Lisa and Brian be wise to send you a follow-up email a day or two after the event? Would they be wise to send it to you in 5 weeks? Why? Because you've moved on. The heat is off. Right? I didn't want to. I almost said tomorrow, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to put them in a pickle. I could just hear them like after I leave going, damn it, Matt. Now we got to get the email out now. Personal emails typically receive a 11% higher open rate. What does that mean? Bottom line, what does that mean to you in this room? Most of you raise your hand saying you're doing email marketing. What's 11% mean? It means more sales, more attendance, more donations, more renewals. But this one means even more. Y'all, that's nearly 30%. That's huge. Because this number, I don't even really care about. Yeah, they open the email, who cares? But this number, I care a lot about. Because for sure, what do we know they did? They opened it. But what did they tell us specifically by clicking on something? What they were interested in. And that's what I really want to know. Because then I can use that information to do what? I can segment it and market out to them. So, this is all well and good, but I need more subscribers, Matt. What's the point of all this if I don't have a big enough list or I want to get my list bigger? So let's start with that. Who would be interested in getting more? How many of you have a website? That's what I figured. Okay. How many of you would like 150% more subscribers based off your website? How many of you are asking for email addresses on your website? Thank you very much, everybody. Y'all. All right. I understand. You got a lot going on. But if somebody's visiting your website, what are they telling you? Why wouldn't you want their contact information? That's gold. They want to hand you gold. And you're saying, no, I don't want gold. Thank you. No, make sure you're asking for email addresses, and that falls right into the dumbest slide in my deck. Is it easier to contact somebody when you have their contact information? Yeah. If you don't have their contact information, what are you going to do? Nothing. And guess what you're going to make? I hope they call. Now, for many in this room, those of you that are asking for email addresses, this is probably representative of what you're doing. You have a static form on your site asking people for their email address. This is okay, but you're not going to get to 150% with just this. Why? What's in it for me? Why should I give you my information? That's why Constant Contact suggests you do this. This is called a pop-up. This is where generally somebody in the audience goes, thank you. $50 coming your way. Here's the thing, folks. Pop-ups, you say you hate them. Guess what? Organizations that use pop-ups get 150% on average more email subscribers than when they don't. What you say about, what we don't like, is how you're asking for the email address. Most organizations that I have talked to in the last 8 years, if they have a form on their site, if they're asking for email addresses, guess what verbiage they're using to ask for it? Join our mailing list. Hey, join my mailing list. Y'all want to join my mailing list? Join my mailing list. Join my mailing list. If it talked like that, probably. A little creepy. Who here wants to join a mailing list? Who here would rather get a free dessert on their next visit? What's more appealing? If I ask you for your email address to join my own mailing list, if I say join my mailing list, what am I, the company, going to get? Email address, right? If I offer you a free dessert, what am I going to get? Which one is more likely to result in email addresses? A free dessert, right? It's all in how you ask. Stop asking people online, on social media, in person to join my mailing list. No one wants to join your mailing list. I'll get there. I'll get you there. Listen, I didn't do my bio, but I spent 5 years in a nonprofit. I feel your pain. No. If you're using Constant Contact, no. Nope. It's included. It's included. Yep. I'll get you there. I'll get you there. Whatever you do, who wants to receive more email? Show of hands in their inbox. I know Lisa does because she has, 10,000 unread emails, according to her screen this morning? Focus on with them. What's in it for me? What's in it for them? Guess who cares about what's in it for me? Everyone in this room. We all want to know why should I do this? So tell them. If you're retail, give them a discount. If you're a nonprofit, give them knowledge. Give them white papers. Give them education. Lift them up. Make them better. What am I going to get if I go to this Southside Cycling site by giving my email address? Is that going to be valuable to me? Why? If I'm on a biking site, why is that valuable to me? What am I probably going to do? I'm probably going to buy a bike, so am I going to be happy to save 15%? Yes. Or some biking equipment. B2B. Am I going to be excited to receive a free consultation from this B2B? Probably. Why? I'm on their site. I'm curious about what they do. If I'm a nonprofit, am I going to be excited about this knowledge they're dropping? Yeah. Why? How do we know that? Because I'm on their site. They're giving me something useful that's relevant to me. You will do more business if you get an email address. Duh. 2, dynamic forms like pop-ups can increase your subscription rate by 150%. And make sure you're focusing on what they want. When they're on your site, focus on what they'd find appealing and offer it to them. Second tip, or tip number 3. And I blew past that 10 minutes, 10 minutes ago? How to automate timely engagement with new contacts. So unfortunately, a lot of organizations I teach do this. This is called email o'clock syndrome. So this organization, this is a real organization. It's a cheese shop based up in Concord, Massachusetts, and they suffer from email o'clock syndrome, meaning that they sent this beautiful email out and then took like 3 months off. And they sent another email out and they took 5 months off. Very staggered. What's wrong with that? Let's use the Get Social model. If I just bought something, if I just ordered something, if I'm interested in their fancy cheeses and wine, and I just bought today, and then suddenly I get a discount or some kind of news 5 months later, are they top of mind anymore? Probably not, right? So it's better to actually make sure that you're thinking about your content, you're thinking about your email in regular intervals that are relevant to your audience. So first, the number 1 most important piece of homework you have, for those of you that use Constant Contact, go set up your welcome email. How many of you, if you know, have your welcome email set up in Constant Contact? Free tumblers. Free Tumblr. The rest of you go set up your welcome email. The welcome email is triggered as soon as somebody joins your list. They get a welcome email. The welcome email, on average, gets an 80% open rate. Brian, is an 80% open rate great or not great? It's pretty great. It's insane. It's insane. It's really, really high. Now, I go to your website. I join your mailing list, although we're not going to actually ask to join my mailing list, right? I join your mailing list. What am I not going to be surprised to get almost immediately after? So why is that email open rate so high? You expect they just joined your list. So what would be very, very, very smart to put in that email? A very strong call to action. If you're offering 15% off, guess what you put in the email? That coupon. If you're offering a white paper, what do you put in the email? A white paper. They're going to open it. Good job. They're going to open it. That is included in Constant Contact. You set that up. I can't speak for other programs, but I'm pretty sure they have that automation. It's all automated. When they join your list externally, so internally, if you're uploading, we're not going to, our Constant Contact's not going to send that out. But if they're joining externally from Facebook, social media, if they're joining through, you wouldn't get it because you're already on your list. It's only people that are not on your list. Try joining from another email address that's not on your list. Another thing you should do is set the expectations. What do we mean by that? The timing. You can expect an email from us every 2 weeks, and then live up to that, right? Now, you can take it further by increasing the automation. Perhaps you don't just send that first email. Let's pretend that we ask people to get the discount, and they join our mailing list, and in that pop-up form we say, what are you interested in the most? This, that, or the other. Based on that kind of criteria, we could send 3 different series of email. One to people that are interested in this, that, and the other. This would be an example of email number 2 we could send them. Send out a few days later. We're inviting them to connect. Why is this really smart, especially based on what we've learned all day? What are they getting an invitation to do? Join social, right? Use all those tools we've learned earlier today to get them to engage with us on social media. Here's an example of a B2B. Email number 1, we're offering a free consultation. Email number 2, connect to us on social media. So, a nonprofit, get the adoption guide, the email automatically sent out shortly after. Share the love on social. Automate to build relationships. Use simple welcome series. Make sure that's the biggest piece of homework you do after you get your Instagram down pat. Make sure you set up that welcome email. Why? What's the open rate? 80%. And make sure you deliver a welcome and the invitation to connect on social media. But let's take it a step further. We've talked about segmentation. All these people have bikes. But even looking at these pictures, how can we tell they're a little different? What's unique? What stories can we tell from these images? Which one's the real avid biker? Mr. Middle, right? Who's the real casual biker? I don't think she bikes a whole lot. She's literally not biking right now. She's holding a bike. She's holding a bike. All right? Now, there's something similar about all 3 people, or all 4 people. What is it? They have some connection to bikes, but they're not all the same. Would we send one piece of email marketing or an automated campaign, the same email to all of them? Probably not. Probably not going to be as effective. So let's learn how to do more business by sending more automated relevant emails. So what you can do, if this is all kind of mind-boggling, remember, I'm going to kind of call back to the beginning of my presentation. Why do we really want them to click on links in our email? Get the website where they'll do business, they'll spend more time, but what's the number one reason when it comes to email marketing? It's trackable. It's trackable. We know what they like, right? So maybe you send one broad email out to gauge interest, right? And in this email, we're offering a cycling club because we work for the cycling company. Check out our cycling club, find out more. Now, let's pretend we work for a biking company. What can we assume is actually in it for us, the cycling company, when they join the cycling club? Somebody that joins the cycling club, are they a casual bike rider or are they actually really serious? And if they're really serious, what are they probably going to do? Spend a lot of money on extra gear and accoutrements and things like that, right? So, why do we want to have them find out more about the cycling club? Because anybody that clicks on that's telling the cycling company what? This is a hot lead. This is somebody that really wants to spend a lot of money with me. So they click on that link and they can then automatically be added to a new list and get a follow-up email a few days later. 3 reasons why you should join the cycling club. We're pushing them along. We want them to join the cycling club. It's free. We want them to join the cycling club because they're going to make more money, and we're going to make more money, and they're also going to be more engaged with us. The next email, join us. Come on by. Connect to us on social media. The last email, don't miss out. Instill the fear of missing out. In fact, that was something that was brought up earlier. I can't remember the acronym. FOMA. Yeah. I don't want to miss out. Fear of missing out. B2B. Send to a broad group contacts. Anybody that scans their websites telling this B2B what? They're probably more interested, right? So then they get the next email, schedule my consultation. The last email, don't miss out. This can all be automated based on the very first interaction, which was joining their list. Same thing with a nonprofit. First email, get the free adoption guide. Second email can be learn more, connect to us. The last email, are you ready? Schedule a visit. This can go as long as you think it's going to take to motivate somebody to take the step that you want. Within Constant Contact, you can automate not just 3 emails, not just 5 emails, but an entire campaign based on what they say they want. How do we know what they want? We asked them and they told us. This can completely be automated. So, send more timely, relevant emails. Gauge interest from their clicks. Automatically create an interest list and automate relevant follow-up emails to the list.